Welcome back, everybody. We have our guest here today, Chopra, for all of you to hear about his wisdom he has to impart.
I am Dr. Chopra, and please don't forget the doctor, because I am known as Dr. Chopra.
Okay, right, correction, Dr. Deepak
And
Chopra.
I am, for those of you who don't know, there are very few who might not know, that I touch your soul as an extension of my teachings, and I am a physician by training. Of course, I know the whole world knows me, but for those of you who are ignorant and whose souls are not quite so ready for a new age spirituality, I am also a spiritual advisor to a lot of people.
Okay, so basically you've explained sort of your background, but
my background cannot be explained.
What are your credentials?
I have a lot of credentials that can be Googled. I don't want to go on the camera to talk about my credentials, because obviously I'm an MD and I've been a renowned physician before crossing the great...
Then what's the problem in explaining your background if...
Well, essentially in a nutshell, it takes about 5 hours to describe what I have done academically and professionally.
So you're a doctor by trade from
I'm
India?
I'm a doctor by trade, and I really noticed that people were not living full lives. People had problems that they were not addressing, and I tried to marry the spirituality aspect of the human paradigm and the human existence.
But how did you get from the physician's role to intersect with spirituality? And did you find any...
I have a unified view of the world, and basically what happens is the soul, the human soul, ties into the physical, metaphysical and the physical aspects of a human being. So in a sense, the physical being is one part of the manifestation of the entire experience of being a being.
Oh, so, okay, before we get too abstract here, let's bring everybody back to the ground.
Abstraction
I think it's important
is...
to be grounded. I have a burning question.
I think it's important. I'll just add to that. Grounding is very important, because the soul needs the physical body to be grounded. Gravity grounds us, the physical being. But what grounds the soul is what I'm trying to talk about.
Right, I think we're getting a little bit too up in the planetary system right now. I wanted to kind of reconnect our viewers with something more tangible, and then we can get into this sort of abstract metaphysical realm.
Absolutely.
We want to be accessible to our viewers. Okay, my burning question is Michael Jackson, okay, this tortured soul who was, supposedly questioning life and the human condition through his platform, through music. Now you have a direct personal bond with him apparently. I know you came on Larry King Live and were rather tearful about his, passing. So could you explain how this connection formed? And
I'm very deeply saddened by Michael Jackson's untimely demise. He he's taking a lot of drugs. I myself have seen a lot of things when I visited him. There were lots of drugs of different kinds, a lot of antidepressants. There was lots of uppers and downers and painkillers, and he was a really troubled individual.
Right.
I tried to get to his soul and tried to sort of portray the path to salvation in our world by reining in his metaphysical being into his physical being and translating that into a worldwide experience that makes it an enriching for his soul.
Right. Now,
because when your soul is enriched and when your body is enriched, the two form like a chutney. It's what I call a metaphysical chutney.
Okay, now he came to you...
It's like an idli and a sambar. When you first mix it, it's not mixable. The sambar is like your soul, the idli is like your body, but when you eat it, it combines into one metaphysical mass.
Now before we get to South Indian cuisine metaphors for spirituality...
No, idli happens to be a little bit of my favorite, so I like to use that as an extension, but for those viewers who don't are not up to date with our Indian culture.
Let's bring it back to Michael now. I understand he came to you for not only he came to you for spiritual advice, but also as a doctor, you were in a unique position for treatment. Now, I know you kind of tried to intervene into the Jackson family. He stopped returning your calls. So, as a doctor, do you feel that you really succeeded, or as a spiritual advisor?
Well, first and foremost, I have to say that a lot of doctors are going to get indicted about this, and that's happening as I talk. I could not, he was not my patient, so I'm not able to advise him medically. However, in a spiritual capacity, I could really tap into his soul and get into the what I call the chutney of
But if you did tap into that or access that, what happened? Because ultimately, you know, there was this tragic
Unfortunately, what happens is I couldn't have complete access to him. Otherwise, I would have transformed him physically, I would have transformed him spiritually, I would have transformed him metaphysically.
But ultimately, transformation is an inner process. So it's not like you can create this codependency and start charging people money, which I know you've actually dealt with a lot of criticism. Celebrities seem to be your clientele, but there's many people in the world.
Well, I'm like a modern day Robin Hood. I charge, obviously there are expensive, rich customers that come, they need the spirituality. I'm like the samosa that soaks up the chutney and for the rich. So I'm like that. But when it comes to paying back, I pay back a lot of things in terms of my wisdom, because people actually benefit from it. On YouTube, I'm all over YouTube, and that a lot of people have written and said, look, our soul is so enriched, you have made us a lot more fulfilling, our lives are fulfilling, and doctor, and so I pay back that way.
But I still feel like you're missing the point here. You're talking about celebrities, people who are literate, well-read, can access your books. I'm talking about people in the trenches. You know, India is the second most populated country in the world. The poverty rate is, you know, above 60%. So where is it that you can serve these people?
In India, I'd like to take a top-down approach, because our wise ministers and elected government officials I'd like to start with them first, because they have the bank balance. Sorry, what I meant is they have the spirituality that they need to sort of expand, and that spirituality, combined spirituality of the elected Indian government officials.
But the wise ministers are also known to be very corrupt officials.
That is what I want to.
What
I want to really do is to attract those kind of people, because they're not being spiritual enough. They need to tap into their souls, because when they listen to their souls, they listen to the wisdom of the universe.
But again, we've lost the slum children, the people in the shanty towns,
in a sense, I'm actually solving the part of the problem, because my high fees, which I take, also gets back in taxes to the people, and obviously my programs enrich the soul.
That sounds more like a sort of capitalist, globalist approach.
Right, but I was wondering if you and I can maybe have some dinner tonight, and I can enhance your own spirituality.
I think we're getting a little off topic.
In the privacy of, this is a studio, it's not so private, but I can give you a private lesson on how to enhance your own experience and your rhythm.
No, that's not going to happen.
No, I tell you, you can come over. I'm actually staying at the Palace Hotel in San Francisco, and I can give you a spiritual tour guide.
That's actually not happening. I think your mission needs to be centered on
thank you so much.
Underserved communities. I'm well served myself.
Thank you so much for inviting me over.
Okay. Thank you. And I wish you well on your spiritual path.
Thank you.